There is a sacred utterance, 3 words long, which, when embraced within your consciousness, will transform every desire into visible reality. These words are not spoken to the world, but whispered in the secret chamber of your mind. Tonight, I shall reveal to you how these 3 words, correctly felt, will make all your dreams appear before you, as if by the hand of providence itself. There is a sacred verse that has echoed through the ages, quietly awaiting the one who will listen with more than ears, who will hear with the depths of their own being. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Consider for a moment what this truly means, not merely as a line of scripture, but as the living, breathing principle that governs the very world you inhabit. The tongue is not simply flesh, not merely a tool for conversation or a means to convey thought to others. The tongue is the vessel of consciousness, the instrument through which the unseen shapes the seen. Every word you speak within your mind, every sentence you allow to echo in the chambers of your imagination, carries the weight of creation. It is not the outer utterance alone that holds power, but the thought, the feeling, the conviction behind it. Life and death, abundance and lack, joy and sorrow, all are born in this inner chamber, and only later are they reflected in the world that lies before your eyes. You have known this intuitively, though perhaps without clear understanding, for have you not felt the difference between thoughts that lift and words that constrict? A single word, breathed with certainty, can ignite the spark that calls into form the very circumstances you desire. The law is simple, yet profound: that which you entertain within, that which you speak to yourself in secret, you shall taste in the visible realm. Your consciousness is the orchard, and your words, carefully nurtured, are the seeds. Those who love the fruit of life will speak words of life, not mechanically, not as one reciting a ritual, but as one who knows the intimate link between thought, speech, and manifestation. You have within you the power to summon entire worlds, to fashion joy and prosperity, love and health, through the delicate yet mighty instrument of the tongue. The 3 words I speak of, the ones that must be repeated and felt in the hidden chamber of your mind, are more than mere sounds. They are the distilled essence of this law, a concentrated expression of creation itself. When you speak them in your imagination, with feeling, with the certainty that what is unseen is more real than what appears, you enter into the very rhythm of the universe, and the universe is compelled to yield. You may ask, how can mere words carry such power? And yet, have you not observed how a thought, when entertained, grows and ripens, changing your mood, guiding your actions, shaping your circumstances? The tongue is the instrument, but the source is your consciousness, and consciousness is creative. Every scripture, every parable, every allegory handed down through time points unerringly to this truth. The outer world is but a reflection of the inner world. The world is not the master, but the mirror reflecting faithfully the state you maintain. Your tongue, your inner speech, your imagination are the brushes that paint upon this mirror. When you understand this, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. You no longer look outward for proof, for validation, for evidence of your desires fulfilled. You look inward, where the seed of all manifestation already exists, and you speak to it, nurturing it with the warmth of feeling, the authority of faith, and the constancy of attention. This is not wishful thinking, nor is it idle fantasy. It is the deliberate, artful act of creation. You are the sculptor of your reality, the gardener of your experiences, the very author of your life, and the words you love and repeat are the chisel, the watering, the pen. Consider the inner law in action, the law of assumption, which whispers to every soul willing to hear, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the world will obey. This is not theory, it is the natural order of things. The desire you entertain, the reality you persist in imagining as already accomplished, is the reality that must manifest, for the unseen governs the seen. Picture it: the winning ticket, the perfect relationship, the abundant provision, already exists in the infinite realm of imagination. To assume it, to speak it with your 3 words, is to step into that reality, to place your consciousness where it belongs, and to draw the outer world to you like a river drawn to its source. The 3 words are the declaration, the proclamation, the vessel of your assumption. They are not mere syllables, but the embodiment of certainty. When you repeat them within, you affirm with every fiber of your being that what you desire is already yours. The unseen has no resistance to certainty. Doubt is the only barrier, and when you replace doubt with feeling, with vivid living imagination, the barrier dissolves and the world yields. There is a rhythm, a vibration, an authority that comes when you know these words in your marrow, when you dwell in their truth. You do not murmur them with hesitation, but you speak them with the inner authority of one who possesses. This is the mystical current of creation, that which you feel to be real, that which you speak with unwavering conviction, flows outward until it condenses into form. Nothing in the outer world can stand against a mind saturated with this inner certainty. Let the eyes of the world see what they will. You have placed your consciousness where it matters, and there, in that sacred chamber, all is already accomplished. The law works not because of ritual, not because of effort, but because of recognition, acceptance, and the intimate, continuous employment of your imagination and inner speech. The 3 words are your instrument, and the law is your ally. The unseen responds to the certainty of your feeling, and the world, faithful mirror that it is, conforms without resistance. Imagine now the practical unfolding of this principle. Each night, as you prepare to sleep, you enter the inner chamber of your mind. You close your eyes, silence the outer world, and whisper to yourself the 3 words. Not lightly, not casually, but with the profound knowledge that what you are speaking is alive, that it carries the authority of creation. You feel it in your chest, in your hands, in your very bones. You see the scene as though it were already tangible. If it is wealth, the coins are heavy in your palm, the notes crisp and real. If it is love, the warmth of the embrace envelops you, the tender voice speaks your name. Let your imagination move freely, let it embellish the scene, saturate it with every sense you possess, for the 3 words are the declaration of that reality, and imagination gives them life. Hold the scene, breathe it in, and sleep in its possession. By morning, the world outside is compelled to match the world inside. The 3 words are the invisible current. Imagination is the vessel through which it flows. Feeling is the force that animates it. And the outer world is the reflection, inevitable and faithful. And so, you begin to perceive the simplicity and majesty of the inner law. It is not complex, but it is profound. It is not dependent on effort or circumstance, but on your awareness, your insistence, your love of the fruit to come. As you continue to dwell upon the scripture, death and life are in the power of the tongue. You recognize that your tongue, your inner speech is sacred. You are the creator, the sower, the singer of the song that the universe cannot resist. These 3 words, small in appearance yet vast in consequence, are your covenant with the unseen. They are the bridge, the law, the key, the instrument through which all that you imagine as already accomplished must appear before you. To speak them, to feel them, to love them, is to summon life, to draw abundance, to inhabit the state of the fulfilled desire. You see now that the outer world is not your master, but your mirror. That which is spoken and felt within must, without fail, manifest without. The unseen has no choice but to obey the voice of consciousness, the authority of imagination, the insistence of feeling. And when you grasp this, truly grasp it, you realize that there has never been, and there will never be, another source of power so immediate, so complete, so divine as the simple, living words spoken in the sanctuary of your own mind. Close your eyes for a moment and enter the secret chamber within, the sacred sanctuary where all creation begins. See the scene of your desire as though it is already here, fully accomplished, fully real, and allow yourself to breathe it in with every sense you possess. The room is silent yet alive, filled with the richness of what has been promised to you. Perhaps it is wealth you seek, and in this vision, feel the crisp weight of notes in your hands, the gentle clink of coins resting in the fullness of your grasp. Perhaps it is love, and the presence of another enfolds you in warmth, the tender cadence of a voice speaking your name with intimacy and joy. Perhaps it is health, and your body pulses with vitality, every fiber, every cell rejoicing in the perfection that is already yours. Let the imagination move freely, for imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the workshop of the soul, the forge upon which all outer realities are hammered into existence. Let the scene be vivid, precise, detailed, as though your senses themselves have crossed the threshold into the reality of your fulfilled wish. See the light in the room, hear the subtle sounds, feel the textures, smell the fragrances that accompany your desire. Speak the 3 words silently in your mind, letting them resonate like a bell that awakens every particle of consciousness within you. It is done. Let these words echo through your entire being, not as a hope or a wish, but as the undeniable fact of reality. As you dwell here, the inner world begins to hum with life, it vibrates with the certainty of manifestation, and the outer world cannot resist such a declaration. The unseen, which is more real than what you touch and see, moves at once to bring forth the scene you have embraced, for it recognizes no time, no resistance, only the firmness of your imagination and the authority of your feeling. You are not waiting for proof, for evidence, for circumstance to bend to your desire. You are already within the fulfillment, and in that state, all conditions align with absolute obedience. Every night, when the outer world grows silent and the ordinary demands of life have faded, you enter this inner theater and act as if your desire is already realized. You do not perform a mechanical exercise, but a living, breathing ritual in which you claim the unseen as your own. Imagination is your laboratory, your sacred space where all that is yet invisible is formed into substance. When you see your desire complete, when you feel its fullness in the heart, the body and the senses, the outer world has no choice but to follow. This is the essence of the mystical law, that the state you assume within precedes all facts, that the inner experience is the seed from which every outer manifestation grows. You cannot step outside this truth, it is inexorable. The seed planted in consciousness must appear in the world of form, and the act of living in the end is the watering, the nurturing, the care that causes it to sprout and blossom. Your 3 words are the key, but imagination is the soil, and feeling is the sunlight and rain. Together they conspire to make the invisible tangible, to transform longing into actuality. Consider the man who dreamed of wealth, not as a distant hope, but as an immediate, living reality. Each evening he sat quietly and envisioned himself holding the reward he sought. He felt the joy, the ease, the confidence, the freedom that would accompany its possession. He repeated his 3 words with the certainty of one who knows the unseen governs all. The next morning, opportunities arose seemingly by chance, debts were repaid unexpectedly, doors opened to him that had once appeared closed. The outer world, which had seemed immutable, bent in obedience to the state he maintained within. This is no coincidence, no accident, no stroke of luck. It is the divine order of consciousness expressing itself in accordance with the law. The outer world cannot create itself. It is the reflection, the faithful mirror of what you have assumed in the inner chamber. Therefore, dwell there, for the inner scene is not a suggestion, not a fleeting vision, but the blueprint of reality itself. In this act of imagination, there is no need to plan, no need to strategize, no need to petition or persuade. The unseen has heard the decree, felt the feeling, and is now poised to deliver. Your responsibility is simply to persist, to hold the vision with unwavering certainty, to allow it to saturate your being until the outer world is compelled to align. Stories of such unfoldings are not rare, though they may seem extraordinary to those who have not yet grasped the inner law. Consider the parable of the man who assumed abundance nightly, though his coffers were empty. He imagined receiving letters of payment, the satisfaction of debts settled, the secure joy of provision in every aspect of his life. He held this state without question, without doubt, without regard to what appeared in the physical realm. One day, through channels he had not imagined, through encounters he could not have predicted, all that he had assumed appeared before him, multiplied beyond expectation. This illustrates the immutable principle: the state within must be established first, the outer must follow. The world is obedient to your imagination, but it is indifferent to hesitation, doubt, and uncertainty. The unseen responds to conviction, to the three words spoken in feeling, to the heart and mind united in knowing the desire is already yours. You must, therefore, cultivate the seen with care, with richness, with sensory fullness, until it is a reality to you in every sense, until you can feel the touch, hear the sound, see the sight, taste the satisfaction, smell the fragrance, and embrace the totality of what you have called into being. Then the outer world, compelled by the force of consciousness, cannot help but bring it into manifestation. There is no need for struggle. There is no need for striving, for wrestling with circumstance or time. All that is required is that you live in the end, that you allow the seen to possess you as fully as the words possess your mind. Each night, each moment, becomes an opportunity to affirm the unseen, to repeat your three words with certainty, and to dwell in the reality of fulfillment. The more vivid the scene, the more intimate the feeling, the more resolute the assumption, the quicker the world conforms. You are not calling for it to happen, you are acknowledging what already exists in the realm of consciousness. You are not hoping for its arrival, you are living within it as though it has never been otherwise. This is the state that precedes the fact. This is the inner law in operation. This is the miraculous, natural unfolding of desire into form. The man who persists in this inner theater, who imagines with every sense, who feels with every fiber, who repeats his three words in living certainty, finds that the outer world becomes pliant, cooperative, and obedient. The unseen, which governs all, has no choice but to make the invisible visible, the imagined tangible, the desired real. And so, as you dwell in this truth, allow your imagination to flourish. Picture the scene, feel the scene, saturate it with life. Let the three words echo like a sacred bell through the depths of your consciousness, uniting thought and feeling, imagination and conviction, until they are inseparable. Persist nightly, persist daily, until the outer world reflects the state you inhabit within. Trust that the unseen is at work, unseen yet faithful, invisible yet undeniable. You are the witness, the actor, the creator, and the world is the stage upon which your inner drama is played. All that you see, all that you touch, all that you experience is but the reflection of what you have assumed within. Hold fast to this law, embrace it, delight in it, and watch as the invisible gives birth to the visible, as the imagined manifests as tangible reality, and as the three words, once spoken in feeling, weave themselves into the fabric of your world with effortless, majestic obedience. Faith is not a passive sentiment, it is the conscious, deliberate insistence upon the reality of that which is unseen. It is the act of living in the end, of dwelling in the state of fulfillment, of allowing the mind and heart to be saturated with the substance of the wish already realized. You may look about you and see circumstances that appear contrary, evidence that suggests delay, lack, or impossibility. Perhaps the mind whispers doubt, questioning, how can this be? When will it arrive? Yet these outer signs are but shadows, reflections of the past, echoes of belief you no longer wish to entertain. Faith does not consult the shadow, it speaks only to the substance, to that which is real in the unseen. When you repeat your three words in feeling, It is done. You are not asking for it to happen. You are affirming that it already has. The law does not reason with uncertainty, does not negotiate with hesitation. It responds to the firm, unwavering conviction of consciousness. You must, therefore, hold the state as though nothing else exists, as though the outer world is inconsequential, for it is inconsequential in comparison to the reality you occupy within. The man who wishes for wealth, for instance, may see empty accounts, may hear of debts unpaid, may feel the tension of circumstance pressing upon him. Yet if he dwells within the reality of already having the abundance he desires, if he repeats the 3 words with living certainty, if he inhabits the state of his wish fulfilled, the outer world must bend in obedience. The unseen recognizes only the voice of conviction, and it is the voice you speak within your mind, imbued with feeling, that compels the miracle. Faith is thus not waiting, it is claiming, it is not hoping, it is knowing, it is not seeking, it is embracing. The unseen, impartial and infinite, conforms only to that which is real in your consciousness, and your 3 words, spoken and felt in certainty, are the declaration of that reality. You must learn to persist in this inner state despite all outward appearances. The outer world is not your guide, it is your mirror. What you see, hear, and touch does not create your reality, your inner assumption does. The law never fails, but the mind, easily swayed, may vacillate, doubt, or fear. These are the only obstacles. Faith is the antidote. To cultivate it, you must dwell daily, nightly, in the reality of fulfillment, letting your imagination paint the scene. Let your senses immerse in the sensation. Let your heart rejoice in the possession. Let the 3 words echo and resonate within until they are no longer mere syllables, but the very substance of your being. Do not rush, do not strain, do not look to outer confirmation, for the world without is forever obedient to the world within. Each night as you repeat them, you strengthen the invisible cord between the unseen and the seen, between the desire and its manifestation, until no circumstance, no obstacle, no doubt can interrupt the inevitable unfolding of your dream. Faith is not a matter of time, it is a matter of state. Occupy that state, and the world must answer. Feeling is the engine that animates faith, and without it, words are empty, imagination lifeless. When you speak your 3 words in the inner chamber, do not speak them mechanically, do not whisper them lightly, do not allow them to pass like a fleeting thought. Speak them with the fullness of conviction, with the richness of sensation, with the absolute knowledge that the unseen obeys. Let your chest swell with certainty. Let your heartbeat pulse in rhythm with the scene of fulfillment. Let your hands, your posture, your very body respond as though the reality has arrived. The feeling, once fully embodied, cannot be resisted. It carries with it a vibrational authority that the world is compelled to reflect. You do not negotiate with reality. You impress it with the stamp of your inner certainty. Your 3 words are not a request, they are a decree. They are the drumbeat to which the universe dances, the current to which all circumstance must flow. Nothing outside you has the power to undo what you have established within, for the inner law is unerring, inexorable, absolute. When you persist in feeling, when you hold the scene in your mind, when you breathe the 3 words as life itself, you inhabit the state that must manifest. The outer world is compelled, drawn, attracted, formed in exact accordance with the inner conviction, and every moment you dwell in the end accelerates the fulfillment. Now, contemplate the mystical closing, the act that bridges night and day, the inner ritual that seals your desire within the unseen. Each night, as your body prepares for sleep, your consciousness must ascend to the throne of imagination. Enter the sacred chamber, silent and still, and take your seat as though you already possess. Allow the 3 words to rise and settle within, repeating them until every sense is convinced of the reality. See the scene fully realized before your mind's eye. Feel the textures, the warmth, the joy, the ease, the satisfaction that accompanies the fulfillment of your desire. Let the heartbeat, the breath, the pulse of life itself synchronize with the scene. You are no longer a seeker, you are the possessor. You are not asking, you are acknowledging. This is the moment when the unseen bends in obedience, when the law, eternal and impartial, delivers the fruit of your imagination into form. As sleep claims your body, let consciousness remain awake in the inner realm, carrying the scene forward, allowing the three words to echo through the depths of mind until the outer world, like clay to the potter, yields to your vision. This act, repeated night after night, becomes the rhythm of creation. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are the master of the unseen, the conductor of the invisible orchestra that arranges all events, all people, all experiences to match the state you occupy. In this mystical union, there is no lack, no fear, no delay. There is only the fulfillment that has always awaited your recognition. Feel now the elegance of this law as it moves through you. The three words, the act of faith, the fullness of feeling, the vividness of imagination, and the persistence in dwelling in the end are a symphony of creation. They are the silent drumbeat that orchestrates every manifestation, the invisible current that carries every desire into form. Do not underestimate the power of this nightly ritual, for it is the conduit through which the unseen becomes visible, the imagined becomes tangible, and the desired becomes real. The law is impartial, unfailing, ever present. It is the response of the infinite to the convictions of consciousness. You are never separate from it, never outside its operation. You are the instrument, the voice, the vessel, and the unseen moves only in harmony with the authority you exercise within. Let the three words saturate every thought, every breath, every moment of awareness, until the state of fulfillment is inseparable from your being. As you drift into slumber, carry the scene, carry the feeling, carry the three words with you, and rest in the assurance that the universe has received the command, that the unseen is already in motion, and that your desire, long entertained in the inner chamber, will manifest in the outer with the precision of inevitability. Faith, feeling, imagination, and the three words are the law made tangible within you, the invisible made visible, the seed made tree, the promise made reality. In this, the world bends, the unseen obeys, and the wish fulfilled stands as the reflection of the state you have assumed, eternal, unfailing, and now undeniably yours. There is a room within your mind, a chamber untouched by the shifting tides of circumstance, a sanctuary of silence and power where the seeds of creation are planted and nurtured. This is the secret chamber, the sacred interior where imagination and feeling converge to form reality. It is not found in the outer world, nor is it discovered through observation, study, or effort imposed upon circumstance. It is within you, ever present, waiting for your awareness to settle, for your attention to be directed, for your consciousness to enter and take dominion. Here, the three words you have learned are sacred keys, unlocking the hidden treasures of the unseen. Enter this room with reverence, for it is the crucible in which all desire is refined into substance, where thought and feeling blend into the pure essence of creation. When you close your eyes and turn inward, you are not merely escaping the world, you are stepping into the very workshop of life itself. Each night, as the body rests, let your consciousness awaken here, fully, vividly, until the inner scene is not a suggestion but a living reality, until every sense, every cell, every fiber of being participates in the experience of fulfillment. Here, there is no delay, no resistance, no contradiction. Here, what is imagined and felt as already accomplished must manifest, for the outer world cannot resist the certainty of what has been fully accepted in the inner world. The secret chamber is your sovereignty, your dominion, your sanctuary of creation. Guard it well, nurture it daily, and enter it with devotion, for it is here that the unseen answers without hesitation, where the invisible is made tangible, and where the promise of your desire is quietly, inexorably fulfilled. Every thought you entertain, every image you hold, every word you whisper to yourself within this chamber matters infinitely. It is here that the law of consciousness operates with precision, exactitude, and impartiality. The world outside is indifferent to pleas, protests, and reasoning. It responds only to the state you occupy within. Therefore, cultivate this inner room as a garden of delight, a treasury of what you wish to see manifest. Let no intrusive doubt, no fear, no outer circumstance enter to taint the soil. The three words you repeat, alive with feeling, are the instruments of cultivation, planting seeds that will bloom into form beyond measure. When you enter the chamber, imagine as though the scene is already accomplished. Feel it, hear it, see it, taste it, touch it. Saturate every part of your being with the reality of the wish fulfilled. Do not murmur lightly. Do not drift in half-hearted visualization. Move fully into the scene. Allow it to command your attention, your senses, your imagination. The outer world is simply a reflection, and as long as the inner is vivid, alive, and unquestioned, the outer will obey. The secret chamber is not a place of passivity. It is a dynamic, living field of creation, and the three words are the sacred current that animates it. As you enter this chamber night after night, you will notice that the world outside begins to yield more quickly, more fully, more perfectly. Opportunities appear that you did not foresee, coincidences align in your favor, and circumstances bend in obedience to the reality you inhabit. This is the silent, invisible law at work. The inner state always precedes the outer fact. The chamber becomes your proving ground, the crucible of your faith, the silent stage upon which the unseen orchestrates the symphony of manifestation. Each repetition of the three words, each vivid, living scene, each saturated feeling is a step deeper into mastery, a call to the unseen to bring forth that which is already present in consciousness. Here, you are sovereign, and your sovereignty is absolute. Consider now the parable of the sower, and hear the law revealed in its timeless symbolism. A sower went forth to cast seed upon many kinds of soil. Some fell upon the wayside, and the birds came and devoured it. Some fell upon rocky places, and it withered for lack of depth. Some fell among thorns, and the growth was choked before it could mature. But some fell upon good ground, rich, fertile, receptive, and it produced a harvest 100-fold. You are both the sower and the soil. Your imagination casts the seeds, your inner words plant them, and the secret chamber is the soil. If the soil is receptive, if it is well tilled, free from doubt, free from fear, free from contradiction, the seed will take root, grow, and bear fruit beyond expectation. The three words, repeated with feeling, are the seeds of your desire, and the fertile soil of consciousness is the place where they will flourish. Attend to this soil carefully. Guard it against weeds of negativity, against the stones of disbelief, against the thorns of outer distraction. Nurture it with imagination, with feeling, with attention, until the seed becomes a living, breathing reality within, until it grows and matures, until the outer world, like the obedient mirror it is, reflects the harvest without fail. The sower's lesson is not merely symbolic, it is the law itself, expressed in allegory. The seed will grow only in the receptive mind. To cast it elsewhere is to invite loss, disappointment, delay, and frustration. But when the mind is prepared, the chamber sanctified, the feeling fully embodied, and the three words repeated with living certainty, the harvest is assured. Every night you enter the chamber, you are sowing the seed. Every scene you imagine, every feeling you embrace, every word you speak silently in your mind is a careful, deliberate act of creation. Do not undervalue it. Do not allow the outer world to distract you. Do not measure the seed by what is yet visible. The unseen recognizes the law. It responds to the fullness of imagination, the intensity of feeling, the certainty of assumption, and the fidelity of repetition. You are the sower, the soil, the gardener, and the law responds to no other authority. Notice, too, that the seed takes time to germinate, but this time is not delay, it is perfect law in operation. When the soil is rich, when it is nurtured by persistent imagination and feeling, when the three words are spoken with living certainty, the seed begins to grow unseen, forming roots, drawing sustenance, expanding silently into the fullness of its destiny. The outer world may appear unchanged for a moment, but the inner world is already vibrant, alive, growing, and drawing the harvest closer with every thought, every feeling, every whispered word. You do not have to strain, do not have to plead, do not have to manipulate circumstances. The law moves silently, inexorably, invisibly, and the harvest appears naturally, effortlessly, in accordance with the inner cultivation. The sower's parable is a guide to mastery. Attend to your soil, sow the seeds of desire in the secret chamber, nurture them with imagination and feeling, repeat your three words in certainty, and the harvest, faithful to its law, will appear beyond your expectation. There is majesty in this law, and it becomes more vivid, more immediate, more alive the more you dwell within it. Your secret chamber is not a concept, it is the instrument of creation. Your imagination is not a pastime, it is the forge of reality. Your three words are not mere syllables, they are the keys, the seeds, the drumbeat, the current that animates the invisible into form. Enter the chamber with devotion, cultivate the soil with care, repeat your words with certainty, and allow the unseen to perform its work. In time, with persistence, with feeling, with faith, you will witness the harvest, the evidence of the law made visible, the reward of the unseen made tangible, the fulfillment of desire exact and inevitable. Every night you enter, every scene you create, every feeling you embrace, every word you repeat is a step deeper into mastery, a step closer to the realization of the impossible, a communion with the infinite, and the assurance that the world outside must reflect the world within. The sower has planted, the soil has been prepared, and now the harvest waits only for your unwavering attention, your full embrace, your living assumption, until the unseen manifests the visible in perfect accordance with the law. There is a silence within you, a stillness that precedes all things, a quiet sanctuary where the truth of your desires already exists. This silence is not emptiness, it is fullness, it is the pulse of creation itself, it is the vibrational soil from which all manifestation springs. When you enter this silence, you do not struggle, you do not strive, you do not plead with the outer world, you simply know. You allow the currents of imagination, feeling, and consciousness to flow freely, unimpeded by doubt, uncertainty, or the opinions of the senses. In this silence, the three words rise naturally, effortlessly, resonating as a living decree, a proclamation that the unseen has already fulfilled your desire. You feel them not as sound, but as substance, as certainty, as living presence. Here in the quiet, the law operates without resistance, and all that you imagine in vivid detail is already manifesting in the invisible realm, waiting only for the reflection in the outer world. The outer world, which seems so formidable, so real, so immutable, is in fact pliant, obedient, and utterly faithful to the inner state. The silence is your ally. It is the channel through which the invisible moves into form. You do not need to shout, to argue, to persuade. You need only to dwell, to imagine, to feel, to know, and the law responds without delay, without hesitation, without question. Every time you rest in this silence, you cultivate a power that is beyond the grasp of reason. You step into the realm where imagination is law, where feeling is authority, where the three words, spoken and felt with certainty, are the instruments of creation. Consider how you have felt the difference between speaking without conviction and speaking with complete assurance. One is noise, the other is power. In the stillness, there is no noise. There is only knowing. The secret chamber becomes alive with your certainty, vibrant with your feeling, luminous with your imagination. Every image, every sense, every word you repeat within this sanctuary is a seed planted in fertile soil, and the law, impartial and precise, begins to work invisibly, invisibly knitting together events, circumstances, and encounters so that they must conform to the inner reality you inhabit. The outer world may resist in appearance, but it cannot resist in fact. It mirrors the state you maintain. And the greater your silence, the deeper your feeling, the more vividly you imagine, the faster and more perfect the reflection appears. There is no hurry, no struggle, no conflict. All that is required is that you enter the silence, dwell there in certainty, and allow the inner scene to saturate your being. The law obeys, it cannot do otherwise. Now consider the law in action, in all its majesty and simplicity. The outer world is the canvas, and your consciousness is the brush. The three words are the instrument that moves the brush, the current that gives life to the painting, the unseen energy that brings the imagined into visible reality. You may witness a seeming delay, a lack of evidence, or conditions that appear contrary, yet these are only shadows, reflections of previous beliefs, echoes of doubt that have not yet been replaced. The law does not fail, it cannot fail. What it requires is your attention, your imagination, your feeling, your insistence upon the reality of the unseen. As you repeat your three words, as you dwell within the fulfilled scene, as you feel every sense engaged in the reality of your desire, you impress the law, you compel the unseen to act, you initiate the flow that brings manifestation into form. There is no need to question the how, the when, or the manner. The law responds only to the state within. You are sovereign in your inner chamber, and the outer world, like clay in the potter's hand, will be shaped according to the inner assumption. Every act of faith, every moment of feeling, every vivid scene you hold is a step closer, a pulse in the rhythm of creation, a stroke of the invisible brush painting your reality. Notice how effortlessly the law operates when the mind rests in knowing. The more you dwell in the reality of the wish fulfilled, the more certain you become, and the more faithfully the outer world conforms. The three words, repeated in feeling, become a living mantra, a current of power that courses through your being, aligning every thought, every action, every perception with the state you occupy. You are not hoping, you are knowing. You are not seeking, you are possessing. You are not negotiating with circumstance, you are commanding it inwardly, and the outer world, faithful to its reflection, rearranges itself to mirror the inner truth. Observe how when you fully believe, when you fully feel, when you fully inhabit the scene, events begin to unfold as though by magic, though it is no magic but law, the invisible law responding to the certainty of consciousness. Every detail, every encounter, every coincidence, every opportunity is drawn to you because you have established a state that the unseen must reflect. The silence becomes your stage, the three words become your instrument, and the law moves as an invisible hand, precise, exact, and faithful, producing the fulfillment of your desire in perfect harmony with your inner scene. And so, night after night, day after day, you cultivate the practice of entering the secret chamber, of dwelling in the silence of knowing, of repeating the three words with feeling and certainty. You imagine, you feel, you know. You do not depend upon the outer world for validation. You do not chase evidence. You do not plead for proof. The outer is irrelevant except as a mirror of the inner. The unseen responds to what you are, not to what you see. The more you allow the three words to saturate your mind and body, the more vivid the inner scene becomes, the more real it feels, the more rapidly it manifests. You begin to understand the elegance of the law, that persistence in imagination, fidelity to feeling, and the unwavering assumption of the fulfilled state are sufficient to produce every outer result without struggle, without striving, without fear. Your consciousness is the soil, the scene is the seed, the three words are the water and sunlight, and the outer world is the faithful reflection. The law is simple, yet majestic. It is impartial, yet tender. It is unyielding, yet responsive to the subtlest nuance of inner conviction. Enter the silence each night. Let the three words echo within, Let the inner scene bloom in full detail. Let every sense participate in the living reality. Allow the feeling of possession, the certainty of fulfillment, the joy of living within the desire to saturate every fiber of your being. The law will respond with precision. The outer world, obedient to the unseen, will bring forth the evidence, the manifestation, the harvest. You are not asking, you are acknowledging. You are not hoping, you are living. You are not seeking, you are receiving, for the law has heard, the unseen has acted, and the reflection in the outer world is inevitable. As you rest, as you sleep, as you awaken, carry the scene, the feeling, the certainty, the three words with you. They are the keys to creation, the instruments of manifestation, and the living proof of the law that governs all. In the silence of knowing, the unseen obeys, and the wish fulfilled, long entertained in the inner chamber, becomes your reality, exact, complete, and irrevocable. There is a rhythm to creation, a cadence that moves unseen yet never misses a beat, a law that is constant, impartial, and eternal. To persist in assumption is to step fully into this rhythm, to align your consciousness with the current that carries all desire into form. Every thought, every feeling, every moment spent dwelling in the reality of the fulfilled wish adds to the invisible momentum, weaving a tapestry that the outer world cannot resist. Do not be swayed by appearances, for they are but reflections of old belief, echoes of what has passed. What you assume, what you feel, what you dwell upon with certainty is far more real than what you see with the eyes or hear with the ears. Persist, therefore, not because you hope, not because you strive, but because in the persistence lies the proof of knowing. The world outside is pliant, obedient, and exacting in its reflection of your inner state. Each repetition of the three words spoken in certainty, each immersion in the scene of fulfillment, each feeling of possession is like the rhythmic pounding of a drum that commands the universe to obey. The unseen, impartial, and precise cannot resist such insistence. The man who persists nightly in the reality of his wish fulfilled is the man whom the world cannot refuse, the one whom circumstance must honor, the one whom the invisible law mirrors with exactitude. Consider the subtle yet powerful force of persistent assumption. It is not weariness, nor compulsion, nor mechanical repetition. It is the living insistence of consciousness upon the reality it has created within itself. You do not need to manipulate events, chase opportunities, or plead with the outer world. You need only to maintain the inner scene with richness, with vividness, with sensory completeness, and to feel the three words echoing as truth through every fiber of your being. Persistence is not measured by time, it is measured by fidelity. One moment of perfect assumption may outweigh 1,000 hours of doubt. One fully realized scene, lived and felt in consciousness, carries a power that the outer world cannot resist. Your responsibility is to continue in the inner state until it has taken root in consciousness so fully that it cannot be denied, ignored, or contradicted. When you have done this, the outer world, faithful to the law, produces the evidence, the manifestation, the inevitable reflection of the inner reality. Imagination is the only reality. Every outer circumstance, every encounter, every experience is but a mirror of the inner state. When you grasp this, when you live it fully, when you allow the three words to saturate your consciousness with certainty, you become the master of your world. To imagine is not to fantasize, it is to create, to give life to the unseen, to establish the conditions that the outer world will faithfully reflect. You do not negotiate with reality, you impress it. You do not wait for proof, you embody the proof. You do not hope, you know. All that exists without is but the echo of what exists within, and the law, silent yet unerring, brings the invisible into visible form with precision, elegance, and inevitability. When you persist in assumption, when you dwell in the scene of your wish fulfilled, when you feel it as real in every sense, you are the instrument through which the law operates. The three words, repeated in living certainty, are the conductor of this symphony, the current that carries the seed from the inner chamber into the manifestation outside, and the outer world, faithful to the law, rearranges itself to match the inner decree. Do not underestimate the power of repeated assumption. The law responds to the depth of feeling, the clarity of imagination, and the consistency of assumption. It does not respond to circumstance, evidence, or external logic. It responds to consciousness, and consciousness, when fully convinced, when fully immersed, when fully persistent, moves the world without struggle, without effort, without resistance. The three words, spoken inwardly with certainty, become more than sound. They become the pulse, the current, the substance of reality itself. Each night, each moment, each silent repetition builds a momentum invisible to the senses, but undeniable in its effect. The outer world is compelled to align, to reflect, to obey. You are not asking, you are acknowledging. You are not seeking, you are receiving. You are not hoping, you are living. And the law, precise and faithful, moves in perfect harmony with the inner state, producing the inevitable manifestation. Imagination is not limited by time or circumstance. In the silent, persistent assumption of the fulfilled wish, you create conditions that have not yet appeared, circumstances that do not yet exist, experiences that have not yet occurred. The three words carry the authority of completion, the vibration of certainty, the inevitability of manifestation. When spoken in feeling and repeated in consciousness, they impress upon the unseen the fact of fulfillment. There is no need to plan, no need to strategize, no need to force or manipulate. The law acts silently, invisibly, but always faithfully, responding to the state you inhabit, rendering the outer world a mirror of the inner reality. The man who imagines fully, who feels fully, who persists without faltering, becomes the master of the unseen, and the world becomes the obedient reflection of his inner decree. Consider how gently and yet inexorably the law moves. The outer world may appear to resist, may appear to delay, may appear to contradict, yet nothing can disturb the inner truth. The persistent assumption, the unwavering imagination, the living feeling, the three words spoken with certainty. These are sufficient. They are the current that moves mountains, the invisible wind that bends all circumstance, the silent hand that arranges events in perfect accord with desire. Persistence is not weariness, it is life. Persistence is not compulsion, it is sovereignty. Persistence is not struggle, it is the natural rhythm of consciousness claiming its own. In this state, you no longer look to the outer world for validation. The outer world is simply the reflection, the faithful echo of what has already been established within. The law, impartial and perfect, cannot fail, cannot be bribed, cannot be diverted. It responds only to the certainty you hold, the scene you inhabit, the feeling you embody, and the three words you speak as living truth. And so, as you dwell in this reality, as you persist night after night, as you continue to imagine, to feel, to know, to speak your three words inwardly with living certainty, the outer world begins to bend, to yield, to manifest with the inevitability of law. You do not struggle, you do not seek, you do not question. You are the master of your inner chamber, the keeper of the scene, the authority of the state, and the world, obedient to the law, becomes the faithful mirror of what you have assumed. Persistence is your instrument, imagination is your tool, feeling is your power, and the three words are the current that carries all desire from the invisible to the visible. In this, the law operates perfectly, invisibly, majestically, and the wish fulfilled stands exact, complete, and irreversible, the reflection of a consciousness that has known, assumed, and persisted without hesitation or doubt. Feeling is the alchemy of creation. It is the substance that transforms imagination into reality, the invisible current that carries desire from thought to form, the living essence through which consciousness impresses the unseen. You may speak your three words with repetition. You may imagine the scene with vivid clarity, yet without feeling, without the suffusion of inner conviction. The law moves slowly, as though waiting for your heart to take part, your senses to lend themselves, your being to acknowledge the truth. Feeling is the secret, the hidden power, the vibrational authority through which the unseen bends in obedience. When you fully feel the possession of your desire, when every nerve, every cell, every breath participates in the reality of what you have imagined, the outer world must yield. There is no resistance that can endure the fullness of embodied certainty. The moment you allow yourself to rejoice inwardly, to savor, to exult, to live as though the wish is already fulfilled, you have completed the law's requirement. It is not the outer events, the circumstances, the proofs, or the visible manifestations that carry power. It is the living feeling, saturated in your consciousness, that compels the unseen to act. Feeling is the spark, the flame, the fire that ignites creation. Consider how subtly yet profoundly feeling operates. You do not merely imagine seeing a desired event. You hear the tones of joy it produces, feel the warmth it brings, smell the fragrance of life fully lived, taste the satisfaction of having arrived at your intention. When imagination and feeling merge, a living reality is born within, and the law, impartial and unerring, moves instantly to reproduce this internal truth in the outer world. You must not restrain the heart, must not suppress the delight, must not allow hesitation to dilute the vibrancy of the sensation. Every nuance of feeling, every detail of inner experience is a decree, a command, a pulse of creative authority. Repetition without feeling is mere habit. Feeling without imagination is incomplete. But together they are the engine, the current, the invisible force that transforms the possible into the actual. In this, the three words rise not as a mere mantra, but as a living vibration, a declaration to which the law responds with absolute fidelity. Inner speech is the channel through which feeling moves and imagination is impressed. It is the quiet dialogue of consciousness with itself, the subtle decree that guides the law without struggle, without noise, without outer interference. When you speak inwardly to yourself in certainty, when your thoughts are saturated with the reality you desire, the unseen listens, acknowledges, and moves in response. Words, when infused with feeling, carry the weight of reality. They are not idle utterances, they are the pulse, the command, the invisible hammer shaping the outer world. Do not underestimate the power of inner speech. Every affirmation, every declaration, every phrase repeated with certainty and lived in imagination becomes a current that bends circumstances, arranges events, and orchestrates encounters in perfect accord with the scene you hold within. The three words are the essence of inner speech, the distilled vibration of the fulfilled state, the invisible seed planted in consciousness that must bloom into outer manifestation. Inner speech, when combined with vivid imagination and suffused with feeling, becomes irresistible, unstoppable, and exacting in its results. You may notice how easy it is to be distracted, how outer appearances attempt to pull attention away, how the mind may waver. Yet the secret lies in steadfast inner speech, in the quiet repetition of the three words in certainty, in the silent narration of the scene as already accomplished. When the heart delights in the scene, when the senses participate fully, when inner speech is continuous and unwavering, the outer world cannot resist. The law is impartial. It obeys the state you inhabit, not the circumstance you perceive. It is the invisible conductor, responding only to the melody you play within. The three words become not just a phrase, but a current, the pulse that animates the invisible into visible reality. They are the vehicle of feeling, the transmitter of imagination, the declaration that the unseen is compelled to obey. Each night, each repetition, each living immersion in the fulfilled scene strengthens the channel, hones the inner instrument, and accelerates the manifestation. Notice too how inner speech and feeling together create a rhythm, a living cadence that the law cannot ignore. You speak, you feel, you imagine, and the law moves. You do not need to plan, to strategize, to labor, to argue, to convince. The law does not respond to outer effort, it responds to inner certainty. It responds to the full-bodied, living, feeling reality impressed upon consciousness. As you repeat your 3 words, as you narrate the scene inwardly with conviction, as you immerse in sensation, you are conducting the symphony of creation. The unseen bends, the currents move, the outer world reshapes itself to match the inner decree. This is not hope, it is knowing. This is not desire, it is possession. This is not asking, it is acknowledging. Inner speech, animated by feeling and imagination, is the instrument by which consciousness impresses upon the invisible the certainty of fulfillment, and the law responds without delay, without hesitation, with exactitude. And so, every night, as you enter your secret chamber, let inner speech flow naturally, let feeling saturate every sense, let imagination paint the scene in living color. Let the 3 words echo as decree, as pulse, as authority, until every part of you is convinced, until every cell participates, until every nerve sings the joy of possession. Here lies the mastery, the invisible power, the sacred law in operation. You do not manipulate the outer, you command the inner, and the outer follows faithfully. You do not wait, you already have. You do not hope, you already know. You do not ask, you acknowledge. Feeling and inner speech, fully united, are the engine, the current, the pulse of creation. The 3 words are the vibration that carries them, the seed that unfolds, the decree that the law cannot resist. In this, the outer world bends, circumstances align, opportunities present themselves, and the fulfillment, long held in imagination, long felt in certainty, long spoken inwardly with life, appears naturally, effortlessly, and irrevocably. The law obeys. You are the master of consciousness. You are the conductor of the unseen. You are the possessor, the creator, the living witness of the fulfilled state, and the outer world mirrors faithfully and inevitably the scene already established in the sacred interior. Every night, as you prepare to rest, there is a moment of sacred opportunity, a stillness in which the outer world falls away and the inner reality takes command. This is the time to sustain the assumption, to carry the scene of your fulfilled desire into the sanctuary of sleep, to allow imagination, feeling, and inner speech to merge into one living current. Persist not through effort, not through strain, but through quiet insistence, through the steady, unwavering presence of consciousness dwelling in what is already accomplished. The outer world may continue in its habitual appearance, may seem unyielding, may offer contradictions, yet in your inner chamber, the assumption reigns, immutable and absolute. The secret is to hold the fulfilled state with such clarity, such intensity, such joy, that the law recognizes it without question, that the unseen obeys it without hesitation, that the outer world, faithful to its reflection, begins to yield. Every repetition of your 3 words, every living immersion in the scene, every sense fully engaged in the reality of possession, reinforces the current, deepens the roots of certainty, and calls the manifestation into being. Persistence is not mere repetition, it is life breathed into the unseen, it is consciousness fully awake and claiming its own. In the quiet of night, as you lie in stillness, imagination becomes the canvas, feeling becomes the color, and inner speech becomes the brushstroke that shapes your world. You do not wait for evidence, you do not plead for circumstance, you do not seek validation from the senses, for the unseen responds solely to the state you occupy within. When you assume, when you feel, when you speak inwardly with certainty, the law moves with exactitude. The outer world may resist in appearance, but it cannot resist in fact. The currents of consciousness, when sustained, when persistent, when living, carry all desire into form, and the 3 words are the pulse, the vibration, the irresistible command that sets this current into motion. Persist tonight, not because the world demands it, not because time presses, not because doubt beckons, but because in your persistence lies the living proof of knowing, the undeniable authority of consciousness, the very signal that the law must answer. To dwell in the fulfilled state through night and through day is to claim mastery over your own reality. It is not action in the outer world, not labor, not negotiation, not pleading, but the living, conscious assertion of what is already accomplished. The three words are not mere utterances. They are the instrument, the decree, the current by which imagination, feeling, and inner speech merge to impress the unseen. Every sense participates, every cell participates, every heartbeat echoes the possession of the wish fulfilled. You do not ask, you acknowledge. You do not hope, you know. You do not negotiate, you command inwardly, and the outer world, like a faithful mirror, reflects precisely what you have assumed. Persistence is the key, for the law is impartial. It cannot distinguish between fleeting thought and living assumption. What you persist in internally, what you inhabit fully, what you feel completely, becomes your outer reality. Night after night, moment after moment, the currents of consciousness carry the unseen toward fulfillment, guided by the steady, unwavering pulse of inner certainty. As you carry this practice into the deepest moments of sleep, you enter a state where imagination reigns supreme, where feeling governs reality, where inner speech dictates the law of the unseen. The three words become a living chant, a current, a silent drumbeat to which all creation must respond. The outer world is compelled to conform, for the law recognizes no distinction between imagined and manifested when the assumption is persistent, vivid, and felt as real. You do not argue with circumstance, you do not plead with fate, you do not measure time. You dwell in the reality of the fulfilled wish, and the law, precise and unerring, brings the outer world into alignment. Every night, every repetition, every vivid scene, every sense fully engaged is a note in the symphony of manifestation, an echo of the inner decree, a pulse of the unseen moving toward visible expression. Your sovereignty is absolute. Your mastery is complete. Your inner chamber is alive with the certainty of possession, and the world outside, obedient to the law, becomes the reflection of the unseen already fulfilled. When morning arrives, the law has been impressed, the current has moved, the unseen has acted. The outer world will yield, circumstances will align, opportunities will present themselves, and the manifestation will appear with the inevitability of law. You do not rush it, you do not force it, you do not chase it. It is already done. Your only work is to persist in assumption, to carry the seen inwardly, to feel it with joy, to speak it inwardly with certainty, to allow imagination, feeling, and inner speech to merge as a living current that moves the unseen into visible reality. The three words are the instrument, the seed, the pulse, the law itself responding to the state you occupy. As you persist, as you assume, as you feel, as you speak inwardly, the law operates silently, majestically, irresistibly, and the outer world, faithful to its reflection, rearranges itself with perfect fidelity to the inner decree. And so, tonight, as you close your eyes, enter the secret chamber fully, allow the three words to resonate with living certainty, immerse yourself in the scene as though it is already accomplished, and feel every sense participating in the possession of your desire. Let imagination, feeling, and inner speech converge into one current, unbroken, living, vibrant, and persuasive. Persist through night, through sleep, through every moment of inner awareness, and the outer world will follow with perfect exactitude. You do not ask, you acknowledge. You do not hope, you know. You do not negotiate, you command inwardly, and the law, faithful, precise, and unerring, brings forth the fulfillment of your desire in visible form. Carry this practice, this certainty, this living assumption into every night and every moment, and the world outside becomes, inevitably, the faithful mirror of the reality already established within. The three words, the living current, the sacred repetition, the persistent assumption, and the joy of possession are the instruments, the pulse, the law, the creative force that transforms imagination into reality, and the fulfillment, exact, complete, and irrevocable, appears naturally, effortlessly, and eternally, for the unseen is compelled, the law obeys, and the wish fulfilled stands now and forever as your reality.